A Night of Magic. Yo, what's up? It's someone that's no one, and welcome back to today's report. Today's report was sent in by Erik, where he took psilocybin, MDMA, cannabis, THC, and nicotine. And here's the full report details. Alright, so we have quite the special report here. This trip is a really beautiful hippie flip coming from Erik, and this is Erik's third report he sent in now. The first two he sent in were some really solid classics. Those reports include This Wasn't 1P LSD, and These Are Some Strange Effects, where he took a tab of an unknown substance. And then he sent in one of our longest reports yet, which it was record length on release, highly detailed 375 microgram LSD report, which is exactly what it sounds like and is written wonderfully. I highly recommend you check those reports out before this, just so you can get an idea of him and what he's been through so far. Here he does shrooms and then has his first real MDMA experience on a whim. And I'll just say here, the writing is wonderful too. But I'm sure you'll enjoy this report, so without further ado, let's dive right into this. This experience was extremely interesting to me, as it was my first real experience with MDMA. And what magic it was. I had been fasting the entire day leading up to this experience as well. The night began around 7 p.m. just as my family and I were sitting down for dinner. I had very few intentions with the substances I had, and this really started off as a light mushroom dose to liven up the evening. Taking the mushrooms began as a quick decision. My headspace on taking other substances was very open, and I was allowing myself to let go a little. In my room, I ate 2 medium caps of Psilocybin cubensis and a large stem chased by water. I had slight nausea as the mushrooms seated themselves in my stomach, and then I went upstairs for dinner. I began eating and talking with my family and started to notice a very small but noticeable change to my perception. I had extremely light physical sensations tingling in the backs of my legs, and I felt as though I was more present in the reality I was living. I compared this to a microdose with how I felt. As time kept passing, the effects came on a little more. I was extremely aware of my thoughts and my surroundings. I got up to get a drink of water, and my new shifted perception of the kitchen was extremely interesting. I had to act normal, as I was with my family, but I was enjoying the pleasurable enhancements I was experiencing. The bowl of salad on the table began to lightly breathe and stretch when I would focus my attention on it. I began to form thoughts that had more depth and was able to interact with my family more than usual. The headspace was extremely light and airy. I was in an uplifted mood and enjoyed speaking with my family. I returned to my room once dinner was finished and proceeded to eat another shroom cap. I wanted to extend and even enhance what I had going just a little more, as I knew I was going to be going out. I began to smoke some high quality dabs, and my walls started to show light, overlaid with wispy patterns when my focus was on them. I was at basically a perfect place. My thoughts were so extremely clear and easy to process and understand. I can really see how a microdose could improve one's day-to-day life. Anyway, I went upstairs and had a shower, 8 p.m., with only a slight increase in effects. Once out of the shower, I believe the third cat finally joined the party, and I became slightly more euphoric, and the slight perception change of being in a trip came over. I then headed out of my house and drove out to meet up with my girl and her 2 siblings to burn. I did not tell anyone I was with that I had taken mushrooms, as I wanted a clean headspace to analyze things. I hop in the back seat of their car and we start to smoke. I took a dab off the rig and 2 bong rips, as well as hitting a concentrate pen. In the car, the visuals were more prominent, and the weed definitely potentiated the psilocybin. I had long trails of light inside the car, and looking outside was interesting. It looked as if it was a detached reality, one I didn't have to worry about because I was safe inside the car. We finished smoking, and I still feel very at peace and in a fantastic headspace. I had the ability to understand my social situation just a little more, and increase my talkability. Me and my girl hop back in my car and go to a low spot where we proceed to get intimate, which was fantastic on the dose I was on. The mushrooms heightened my senses perfectly and accented my night beautifully. After all was done, I head home, 12:30 a.m., and go back to my room. At this point, I was feeling the mushrooms, but was riding the tail end. For whatever wild reason, I remembered the almost 2 grams of pure rock MDMA I have. I decided to dose and extend the night to be even better. I had only done MDMA one other time previously, about 2 months ago, which was underwhelming. I was excited to try it again, but in a better setting. I knew about the positive potential this experience could bring and was greatly looking forward to it. So I break off around a 0.1 to 0.15 dose and parachute it, 12:45 a.m. I did add a few extra crystals to this parachute. I lay down in my bed with my lights off and headphones by my side, awaiting the effects. I smoke some more and about 30 minutes later begin to feel the beginnings. I feel a warm, beautiful euphoria start to flow through my legs, and my headspace starts to shift. My muscles became very tense all around my body on the come up, and before I knew it, I had my headphones on and was starting to really feel the effects. Music began to have a new depth, and I felt almost surrounded by it. As I came up, I almost felt like I could project how high I was going to get and made the decision to get a higher dose, 45 to 60 minutes in, as I didn't feel like I was going to get to the full blissful state I had in mind. I took about an equal dose to my first, if not a little larger, and also ate a 4th cap of shrooms. I lay back down, and by this time I was thoroughly enjoying the music and headspace I was in. I had heard better music enhancement on DXM, but the MDMA enhancement was so clean and meaningful. The music became more and more clear, and the depth of the notes was astonishing. My headspace was in a I don't really give a fuck anymore type, so I was eagerly waiting the increase in effects from my bump dose. I wanted to get pretty wild and really dive into the substance. Time at this point began to lose meaning, and my time perception was sped up, making the experience feel shorter than it was. I began to feel the second bump of them and welcomed the increasing intensity of effects. I pulled off all my clothes and lay naked in bed, rolling and feeling the covers while lost in the music. While my eyes were closed, I would have small to significant patterns and light tracers dance across my vision. I would be fully surrounded by the music. It was as if I was disconnected from my body, yet so much more aware of it from the physical stimulation and euphoria. I continued rolling in my covers, and the music enhancement began to turn into something special. The music not only had so much depth and meaning I could explore, but each note and section would arouse unbelievable, full-body euphoria. It was the most intense music enhancement I have experienced. At this time, the physical effects had fully set in. I was grinding my jaw and constantly chewing at the inside of my mouth without really noticing. I was sweating quite a bit, and my eyes would roll around in their sockets. I thoroughly enjoyed these effects at the time. They made me feel dirty and sensual. I feel they significantly add to the experience and allow me to really let go of this reality. My sense of time was completely gone, and all I wanted to do was listen to music. It felt extremely freeing to simply roll around, close my eyes, and access my thoughts. At this time, I came up with the idea to write out my exact thoughts as they were coming. The headspace I was in was absolutely fantastic, and was able to really question and solve ideas extremely quickly. I was able to view past actions in a very special perspective that promoted healing and realizations. I began writing my exact thought stream down on my phone. The M seemed to have the ability to isolate my one thought stream and made it extremely prominent and smooth. I would skip quickly from idea to idea and just write whatever came. This is where the M's therapeutical effects began to show in ways I never thought possible. When writing my thoughts down, I felt a sense of release and appreciation that I believe stemmed from me getting any particular thought/situation out of my head and somewhere else just to see. I was listening to music and writing my thought stream for what I believe was about 2 hours. 2 hours of extremely meaningful healing through this shifted perception. Within the experience, I was able to really connect with past situations and people that are important to me, and I began to appreciate many people that have had positive benefits in my life. I wanted to sit face to face with everyone and tell them how much I greatly appreciate their existence, and how much each of them have added to my life. It brought me to a very thankful and appreciative state that promoted a lot of healing and understanding. The thoughts that surrounded my girl at the time were also extremely positive. I realized just how lucky I was to simply meet her. and how incredibly beautiful she is in all ways. Just being able to think about her in that state, I believe brought many positive benefits and aided me in showing my appreciation for her more. Then tragically, all my notes were deleted by a slip of my hand, and so I started over. Right before I started to feel the beginnings of the come down was when I had an extreme moment of realization. The music enhancement had peaked, and I was in pure bliss. I began to appreciate MDMA so incredibly much, and my thoughts switched to even more healing and introspective ones. I compared how I felt at the time to a high DXM dose, and noticed many similarities, and began to find the roots to a past addiction. I began to understand my response to dopamine and how I process stimulation by substance. As the clock ticked over 6 a.m., I began to come down. It was much faster than I expected, and most of the headspace I had been enjoying left in under 30 minutes. The euphoria was still extremely prominent, but the feeling of importance from the experience faded as I fell asleep. Overall, this turned out to be a fantastic experience that happened off a whim. MDMA has shown its magic to me, and I look forward to what else it has to offer. I feel this experience will carry meaning as I process it more and I'm able to implement it into my life. Extra. I'm writing this 2 days after the experience and just wanted to highlight the come down. I woke up with a large perspective change still prominent, and slight visuals throughout the entire day. I felt at peace with everything and everyone, and still seemed to have some euphoria that lasted into the night. Smoking weed in the evening shifted my perception even more, and I was definitely affected more than normal by the THC. As I was falling asleep, I had a slight headache and some auditory distortions, but as I woke up the second day after, I feel very good. The most prominent lasting effect is the appreciation and openness to everything. It really feels like the M built upon my consciousness and enriched it.